Hi guys, I'm Beth, this is Remark, and today we are going to talk about The Italian Teacher by Tom Rachman. Thank you so much for joining today, guys. We're going to talk about The Italian Teacher by Tom Rachman. This book exists in the art world. It follows an artiste named Bear Bavinski, and how perfect a name is that for an artist, Bear Bavinski. It's like it's made for an artist. He's supposed to be up on the ranks of like a Picasso or a Rothko or all sorts of big name artists. However, much like those big name artists, they are also pretty complicated, and I would say complicated is probably code word for jerk face in real life. The main character of this book is Bear Bavinski's son, Pinch. Charles is his real name. Pinch is his nickname. Pinch is one of many children, though, because Bear has many different wives. He goes from one wife to another. With each one, he has at least a kid or two. Doesn't really care about any of them so much. But somehow, Pinch manages to stay in Bear's good graces. Pinch spends his whole life trying to get Bear's approval. He's always kind of like, "Hey, Dad, what do you think of this? Dad, let's spend time together." He takes art lessons from Bear and decides that maybe he's going to be an artist, and that'll get his dad's approval and attention. However, his hopes are dashed when one day his dad looks at Pinch's art and says, "You'll never be an artist, kid." It's so sad. It's so sad. It makes me want to take little Pinch and say, "It's okay, kid. You got this." As he grows older, he goes to college and thinks that maybe he'll be an art major and he can perhaps write a book about his dad, but his dad dashes those dreams too. Pretty much every overture that Pinch makes to get closer to his dad or live within the art world, his dad pretty much rebuffs. He's not interested in being close to him. He's not interested in Pinch being part of the art world or kind of continuing his legacy. The real thing that Bear is really interested in is just being served by Pinch. In fact, that's why Pinch remained in Bear's good graces, was that he was always trying to win his approval, always nice, never expecting anything from Bear.
Yesterday, we were on our way.
Pinch really takes that attitude forward in life to where he's always trying to do the right thing for everyone, oftentimes at his own expense, which is really sad. Now, the thing that I'm really wondering about in my mind is whether this story is a tragedy or a triumph. Be aware, this is where I'm going to get into a little bit of spoilerish stuff. I'm going to try not to say outright what happens plot-wise, but I will get into some themes of the book that I'm going to be giving away by saying all of these things. In many ways, this book could be seen as a tragedy because there are a lot of things that just don't go right for Pinch. He never finds true love. He never gets validation from his dad, nor from the art world. He never becomes a legit recognized artist. And his siblings are pretty jerky to him, despite the fact that he works really hard to try and help make things right among them. Here are some ways that this story could be seen as a triumph, though. Pinch, even though it's at his own expense, he does manage to make things all right for everyone, which was a big objective of his. So that's definitely a good thing he did. He also enriched art and the art world. Even though he never got recognition for it, recognition was never really the thing he was after. What he was really after was the self-fulfilling intrinsic value of creating beauty and art. And he did that. He also added humanity to Bear's cold and jerk-facey existence, legacy, and art. You know, without Pinch's contribution to it, Bear's art would have been seen as good but not legendary. After Pinch added his own spin to it, that was really what elevated Bear's legacy and Bear's art as a whole. Those who loved him and whom he loved in return were also deeply enriched by the experience, not just monetary, but also personally. He really added deep value to their lives. So even though he had kind of this little life, this small life, not of much import or consequence during his living years, what he added to people's lives, to the art world, to the world overall was really big. You know, he was a quiet person. He never went after the big adulation that Bear went after. What he did go after, he didn't quite accomplish in the way that he thought he might, but he did accomplish things in his life, and he was definitely a good presence in people's lives.
But November came, man, I wish it was yesterday.
Here's a question I have for you. I'm not quite sure whether to call this book contemporary fiction or literary fiction. Where do you draw the line on genres? I don't think that putting things in a neat little box is really that important. It's okay if I can't fully genreize this or categorize this, but I'm kind of curious. So if any of you guys know, let me know in the comments. I would categorize this book as one of those. I don't know which. All right, thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Bye. I didn't even explain why it's called The Italian Teacher. Oh well.